Okay, so let's last video for the simple character. Just gonna put everything together to ignore the fact that he doesn't have any shoes because I didn't do them. But other than that, so I'm in the in the last file I did, other than the head, which is the hands, and so I'm gonna set this scene up, and then I'll import in the head, and yeah, and then we'll clean it up and finish it off. So first thing is I'm going to get rid of the reference images. We don't need any of those. So over here in the channel box, I'm just going to get rid of all of these display layers. So we don't need any of those. Doesn't seem to want to go down. There we go. And if we right mouse click on that, we should be able to just say delete layer. Oh no, it's going to want to do them all at once. Fine. So we'll do them all at once. And get rid of them all. Excuse me. Cool, finally. Oof. So all the layers gone. I'll delete the history since I notice it's here. So there we go. The history's gone, and these reference images that I have now. So the side reference, the front reference, and the hand reference can all go. The proxy half can be removed, so I'm just going to delete it. And let's check what we have in the outliner. And we still have this empty group here. Well, it's not empty, but it will be right now. So let's unparent that and delete this proxy group. So we're left with what's called the torso geo, which is fine. And we will now, what am I going to do? I'm going to hit 1. And I'm just going to finish off his pant leg because I don't want to leave a face on the bottom like that rounds off when it smooths. So I'm going to just take this face by grabbing the vert, Control F11 converts to faces. I'm going to extrude those, Control E. I'm just going to hit R for scale and just scale those in a little bit. That's going to create some depth for his pant leg. This is the mug, the arm. Like we've used this process a million times. Well, maybe several times. Another extrude and W this time, and I'm just going to pull it in so there's a tuck under. And then how deep that goes, or whether I need to do another extrude to create another loop or whatever, that's we can decide that later. I mean, that's good enough for now. And now I'm just going to hit delete, and it's going to blow those faces away. And then now when I hit 3, right, it's going to smooth off, and I get a bit of a depth there. And if we decide, oh, I don't know, that we want to have his cuff a little bit sharper, because when I hit 3 now, right, it softens right out. So that's, again, a great place for a bevel. So maybe I'll just double click and then shift double click and get those 2 rows of edges and then do a bevel. So edit mesh bevel, and I just left it, I think, on default. I'm only going to do 1 segment there and just hit 3, and we can see that that's a bit sharper. And you know, if that's too sharp, then we can separate the that face, those edges a little bit more, make the face a little bit thicker, but I'm okay with that. I can live with that. And then as far as the bottom goes, let's hit that 3 again. The bottom's a bit rounder, so you know, if you felt, we probably should. So let's bevel those 2 edges as well. So double click, shift double click, and another bevel. So edit mesh bevel, and again, I'll just do whatever the, whoa, those are huge. The default is, but the default is not good. So let's take the fraction here and make it 0.125. That's better. And that's about the same as the other one. So click off and then hit 3, object mode, and then we can see that it's a bit sharper. Okay, so maybe I'll separate out the pants. So I'm going to hit 1, go into low res. I'm going to grab a concentric ring of several faces, and then shift period will let me grow my selection, and I'll just keep growing it until it goes up to his waistband. and then I want to go to edit mesh, and I want to extract these faces. So face section here, extract. Maybe do the same thing with the arm. So grab some faces in the arm, again, grab them all, and then shift period to grow to grab everything that's in the arm. And again, I can extract. So edit mesh, extract. So I'm getting a separate arm now, separate shirt, separate pair of pants. And then what we want to make sure is they don't just touch like this. So we want to make sure that they interpenetrate. So that the pants need to go up and the shirt needs to come down or something like that. So we'll adjust those in a bit. So maybe right now into object mode, I'll take these pants here. I'm going to delete the history. I don't need to freeze transforms. I'll call these pants geo, and I'm going to mirror them. So mesh mirror geometry. Now you can see this is what happens when the border edge isn't straight. So it's merged around that vert, which is the furthest vert out, and it's created a gap everywhere else. And that's because my center line isn't straight and or isn't snapped to the center border. So I'm going to undo that with Z. I'm going to go in the front view. I'm going to right mouse click, go to vertex. I'm going to grab that border row of verts. Let's bring the grid up so we can see what we're doing. W for the move tool, hold down X, drag it out, drag it back. That should snap align it to this center line, and then back into object mode, and I should be able to go to mesh mirror, and you can see now it's better. And I just want to check that it hasn't merged in any sort of weird spots, and it hasn't, so it's only merged across that gap and not between rows, horizontal rows, so that's all fine. And what I will do is I'm going to take this border edge, so come on, there we go, double click, extrude that, Control E, W for the move tool, and I'm just going to pull that up a little bit so that we do get an overlap, slight overlap for now. And again, that may need to be changed, depends on how this gets rigged and whatnot. So we may, we keep our minds open. We say that's good enough for now. It should work, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. We'll fix it up. Okay, so shirt, same deal. Object mode. I'm just going to delete the history. This is going to be the shirt geo, and I'm going to mirror it. So mesh mirror geometry, and again, I want to just look for a merge all the way around. So it looks like this border edge was straight. And then I want to look in my area of finest detail, which I believe is right here. So let me just grab this vert, hit F, and then I can tumble around. Yeah, so we haven't merged in any kind of weird sort of way. So that's good. So that's about it for that one. And then for the arm, again, delete the history. This is going to be the left arm geo. And we need the right arm geo. If I hit W, the pivot is in the center, which is pretty handy. And what I'm going to do is just duplicate the arm, Control D. Oh, wait, sorry, undo that. The tuck in here. So I'm going to grab the shirt. I'm going to go up to edge mode. I'm going to double click this border edge for the shirt. I'm actually going to scale it up slightly so there's a bit of a gap. And then I'm going to hit Control E, W, and I'm going to push that in for my overlap. And again, we may need to make that bigger in the future. And then same for the arm. So double click, Control E, W for the move tool, and I'll just drag that in so we do get an overlap for the arm. And that border edge could potentially, maybe we'll just scale that down a little bit just so that it's not going to penetrate through the shirt. And on the shirt again, so in object mode, I'm going to hit 3. If you don't like the way the shirt is smoothing, if you want to have a harder edge, we can do that. We can say bevel and edge, so add a mesh bevel. And then when we hit 3, it's going to be a bit sharper. I don't kind of mind the way it was, so I'm going to leave that. And if that does need to be changed, then we can do that later. So we do have some overlap, which is fine. And now, again, I've got history on the shirt, so let's delete that history. Let's delete the history on the arm again. And this time I'm going to go Control D for duplicate. And then on the scale X here in the channel box, I'm just going to make this scale X -1. And that'll give me a mirror image out the other side. But what I do want to do then is delete the history, because I don't want to leave this negative scale on the geometry. That will affect the animation once the geometry is rigged. So delete the history. And oops, didn't work. Freeze transformations, pardon me. There we go. And now we have, well, we have left arm geo1, so that should be right arm geo. So Shift R and get rid of the 1 on the end. There we go. So right arm geo, left arm geo, shirt geo, and pants, which need history to be deleted. For the shirt, I want to tuck that up and in. So right mouse, edge, double click the border edge, Control E, W for the move tool, and I'm just going to pull that straight up. And if we need to X-ray just to see what's going on, we can do that. And again, you know how far we go. Who knows? That's good enough for now. And an X-ray. And object mode. And let's double check. Okay, so we've got this extrude edge on the shirt, so I'm deleting the history again. And there's his pants, and I didn't do any sort of final tweaking or anything. I think he probably needs some. I wouldn't be happy if somebody did Homer and handed this in, this particular model. Let's see. I'm not sure how happy I would be. The pelvis shape is off by a little bit. The rest of it's okay. It doesn't have his collar yet, which I might just add in a minute. Yeah, so there's a bit of shaping that could maybe go on with this, but that's fine, we don't have the time. Okay, so the collar, what I might do for that actually is I'm going to drop this collar here down slightly, and then I'm going to grab all the faces going around here. It went the short way, of course it did. So I'm just going to, I'm shift double clicking the ring edges all the way around. I have to do it every so often, just because it will always choose the shortest distance between the two edges you have selected. So in this case, when I wanted to do this one and this one, I wanted it to select around, but it just went in between in the V. So I did 2 or 3 all the way going around that way. That's fine. So those are all selected, and ooh, I actually don't need these ones selected, I don't think. So Control deselect, and then Shift F11. Sorry, Control F11 converts to faces. And then I can do an extrude. And I want to extrude in the direction that they're already facing, I think. So I'm just going to pull them up slightly. Oops, there we go. Done. And all I'm trying to do there is just to create this row here, which could probably be a bit thinner. And then I want to do the same thing. I want to grab the faces going around. So I'm going to go to edge. And I'm going to select this edge. And then I'm going to go shift double click. And shift double click. And can I do it all in one go? Shift double click we. And then Control F11 converts to faces. And I can do an extrude, Control E. And I want to pull it in the direction that it's already facing. So that's, yeah, maybe just really thin. Kind of like that. And then do one more, just Control E. And again, pulling in the direction that it's already facing. So this is going to be the thickness of the collar. And then I'm going to grab the faces going around the bottom now. So there's an edge, and shift, double click, and shift, double click, and Control F11, and Control E. And I'm going to pull these, yeah, I'm going to hit W, and I'm going to just pull them straight down. And then I'm going to scale them out, so R, and scale from the middle, and they'll kind of expand out. And I want it to match widths there. Just to make sure, yeah. So there's a bit of a problem. Excuse me. So I'm gonna hit W, just push that back. Hit R, scale that out some more. I don't really want it to interpenetrate. So that looks like something. I'm not sure, since I've already got rid of the reference images. I'm not sure if that's long enough or whatever, but good enough. And what this does is it's not the greatest because it did make a lot of extra geo and stuff. People have tried to do their own collars. It's just simple. And if I hit 3, it's functional-ish, especially on a character like this. It's quite simple. We don't expect a shirt to be 100% real. So the nice thing is it's all quads and it's a very predictable, very regular mesh, even though it might have a bit of geometry and it might look a bit weird. And we can always adjust. Like, I find this maybe is a bit too thick now, so maybe we should grab excuse me, some of these edges and we can scale them out. So if I hit R for scale and just kind of pull those back, that'll thin out that top thickness of the collar, and then maybe we can do the same for these. And these ones would scale in. And so we get, you know, it's not as thick as it was. If that was bothering you, it wasn't really bothering me. What else? Oh yeah, so when I hit 3 on that, you notice it does round right off. So if we did want to hold that as like a harder edge, we'll bevel. So I'm gonna select this edge, and then I will do the same thing. I'm just gonna go around, shift double click them. Cool. I don't know how I knew to do that, but it did. And let's bevel that. And let's make this 0.125. It's a bit thinner, and then we can see how crisp that gets. So pretty crisp. The issue is going to be because we didn't get carried around. We have a multi-sided face here, but that's okay. So let's take this edge and this edge and this edge and this edge. Do a bevel. What we're going to have to worry about is what happens up here. So you can see it makes these little triangles. Let's grab a vertex there and hit F. Yeah, so that's actually a quad, so that's okay, but what that does is it, excuse me, makes these all 5-sided faces. So it's not the greatest choice. We'll have to finesse that around, but I'm going to leave that for now. What I am going to do is try and, well, first of all I'm going to fix, because we didn't do these as one go, I'm going to take these 2 edges and collapse them. Do the same on the other side. Oops, not that one, this one. Okay, and I'm going to get my multi-cut. And I'm going to, yeah, sorry, so not the multi-cut. So I'm just exiting the multi-cut tool. What I want to do is I want to bevel this edge, so double click. So this stubby edge on the bottom, I'm going to bevel that. So I had a mesh bevel. It's going to be really big, so I'm going to make my fraction 0.01, I think, and that will bring it down quite small. And what it will do actually is it turns this into like a multi-sided face here. So I'm going to take, and this is what I do for all the corners, I'm going to bevel or collapse these 2 edges here. So collapse them. It makes triangles, but it's symmetrical triangles, meaning I've got one on either side of this face. So now I can get the multi-cut, and I can just split in between, and that technically turns those triangles into quads because I've cut that edge in 2. And then when I hit 3, I get a fairly crisp looking, let's go into object mode, fairly crisp corner, and technically everything there is quadded out. So we're okay. The issue that we have is up here. Oops, up here. Let me grab some verts and hit F. And so we can do things. Okay, sorry about that. So I have worked some stuff out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 verts right here and I'm going to merge them. So edit mesh merge, and that gives me kind of a dead end line. I want to do the same on the other side here. To get the same look here, I'm going to grab this edge and collapse it. And so I end up with this face now being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. But more importantly, it's this edge dead ends here. So get the multi-cut. And I'm just going to cut up. And this is going to add geometry, but it's going to keep everything quads. And then into the corner. And then cut across and into the corner. And then come back down. And match it with the one on the bottom. And so what we now have is, you know, everything's quads. It did add another loop in here, which may affect the smoothing. Maybe it's, you know, see how that's a bit harder now. So we may have to find ourselves, you know, beveling internal edges here to make things look good. It's quite possible. I probably should have done it. So these internal faces just to keep things kind of nice, because when I do smooth it out, it does look a bit odd in here. So maybe what I'll do is, I don't know if this will work. It used to work. Let's go to mesh tools and get to the sculpting tools. Let's go to relax options. The brush is way too big, so let's make the brush size like 0.5 maybe. And I'm just going to hit 9 for my wireframe, and make that even smaller, so 0.25. Hopefully it'll work. Yeah, nice. So it's working to our size. There's the strength. Let's see what happens when I click on this. And I might just use this to kind of push some of the points around. I don't know, like I'm experimenting. So, and then maybe grab this point, and let's turn on our surface slide constraint, and I can crank that on the surface until it comes down. And do the same on that one, and then maybe this one can come up. So I'm just trying to average them out a bit more, so that when, let's turn the slide off there. Come on, you. There we go. Off. I'm just going to pull this one out. Down. I want it kind of, there we go. Something like that. I don't know. Is that better? Let's hit 3. Nah, a little bit, I suppose. Still not great. I may need to move these points even further down onto that face. If I pull that one even further, that's going to help kind of round this out a bit. But that's better than it was. So let's go to object mode. Let's turn that off. Let's get rid of the wireframe. And as long as we're not flying the camera into here, I don't think it looks too horrible. And that's pretty nice looking collar-ish. I mean, we could make it sharper on the top and all that stuff, but let's just wanted to give you a sense of that. Oh, and maybe the same thing for this bit here. I want to maybe sharpen that up just a little bit. So what we'll do, let's get rid of the options here. We'll, let's get the multi-cut. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to bevel this edge. I'm going to take that edge, I'm going to bevel it. It's going to be a bit big, so let's bring that down to, I don't know, 0.125 seems to be the magic number today. And again, what it's going to do is create a triangle on either side there, and all I need to do is split between that with the multi-cut tool. So let's get the multi-cut, and let's just cut this in half. And if I hold down, ooh, it's not really working. Let me try that with a different key. Also not working. Trying to get the 10% snap to work. I thought it was shift. It would snap, but it's not, so oh well. And there we go. I've cut it. And again, technically that turns that into a quad. And so when I hit 3, it doesn't look very good, does it? So what can we do? I think I might have something wrong with my, shouldn't jump up like that. It's a bit weird. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to go to my multi-cut. I'm going to just carry these lines down because we can end them on this open border. Doesn't want to. Wow, what are you doing? Doesn't want to touch my open border. There we go. There we go. Very odd. And then connect this to here. Hit Q and get rid of these two right there. So always control delete your edges. Maybe grab another multi-cut here and just, why are you not? Wow, I'm having a hard time. Get it in there and then adjust it afterwards is the that's what we're looking for there. Let's see if that helps the smoothing out. So 3, still a bit weird. All right, let's carry this down on the front. So same deal, multi-cut, and instead of cutting it into there, maybe we will bring it down to here. And then again, I can get rid of these two edges. Well, actually I should split this up into here. And then I can get rid of those 2 edges on the sides. Oh, actually I don't need that one. And what does that do for us? Better. So not great, but not bad. I'm not quite sure why it's so weird, but we're holding that edge a bit nicer, and we can maybe adjust this up or down to get something a bit smoother or sharper. Let's say I'm happy with that. And the reason I'm not too worried about symmetry is because I've worked on this half. There's no point in me doing both. It's faster for me to just go into face mode, grab half of this shirt, make sure I get all the little faces as well. And delete it. And I'm gonna snap the borders. So X, snap it over, snap it back. And let's check out what we've got in this front view, because we do have this edge right here, which we don't actually want on the border. We want to do that. Just going to snap this down to this point, snap it forward so it lines up. And then we just want to fill in this little, because we'll do that after. So you'll see. So I'm going to delete the history. I'm going to remirror. And I'm going to get this hole here, which I'm now going to fill with the append to polygon. So mesh tools, append to polygon, start on any edge, and then follow the little blue arrows. And if you can't see any because it's too small, you always go counterclockwise, and then enter. And there we have our two symmetrical sides for the collar, which does look a bit weird, but it at least smooths out a bit nicer. And again, I would probably spend more time on that. Okay, so don't forget to delete the history again, because we did a poly mirror on that. Let's double check. Left arm, right arm, it's named, it's no history, it's been frozen, pants geo, all that ready to go. I prefer hard edges here, so I'm just going to harden all my edges, and then I'll need to delete the history again. And oops, I should do that for everybody. So let's harden all separate objects, delete the history. Okay, so there's Homer without the head and Y. Oh, I think that's one of the faces, so that's fine. Okay, so time to bring the head in. So I'm going to go and import options, and in your import options, I'll just set this to default. It's going to be set to use these things called namespaces, which are horrible, evil, nasty things. They're going to put the new imported object into its own namespace within this file, and namespace is a bit hard to describe. I can maybe talk about it in class a bit more, but what you should do is uncheck use namespaces. There's never any reason to use them unless you're working in a production environment, and then this will be all automated, so it won't matter. And we definitely don't want to resolve all nodes with the file name. We only want to resolve clashing nodes with the file name, so that if we did bring in something called shirt geo, Maya would append the name of the file in front of, with an underscore in front of the name of the clashing name. So that makes sense to me. So this is how you want to set your import up, and then I can hit import. It should take me into my scenes directory. I can go to my last head model, which is Homer Model 10 Head 8, and imports. And it's kind of funny, actually. So there it is. I like it. I can just leave it like that. Outliner. So torso geo, yeah, we forgot to do all that, but all this geo needs to be unparented. So Shift P, and then we can get rid of the group. So we have a front reference because I didn't clean up the head file, so let's delete that. Let's delete the side reference, and then same deal here. We'll want to get rid of any display layers. So I'm just selecting them, right mouse clicking and saying delete layer, so I have no display layers. Side hair, top hair 1, top hair 2, head geo. So let's take all of the head stuff, which is the hair and the eyeballs, and let's group them. So Control G, and this can become head group. Okay, so we have the shirt, the right arm, left arm. I'm going to reorganize that. So I don't know why the middle mouse move is not working in this outliner. Let's try it with my pen. No, why is that? All right, whatever. I was going to reorder the outliner. It doesn't seem to want to work. It doesn't work with the mouse either. So let's forget about that. All right, so head group. So let's take the head group, and we can drag it up. And we probably should have left some kind of reference in here so that we can gauge the size of the head. But let's eyeball it. I could do a big-headed Homer. The trick is that it's grouped, so now when we scale, it's going to scale the eyes, the hair, and everything kind of together, and then we can drop it back down. And it may very well be that the collar is too high or too thick, or there's a lot of things that could happen here, because when I look at his head, it doesn't look like it's too far off. I think maybe just his shirt is too big. So this is how you would scale it in, up or down. And I'm gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because his collar is quite huge compared to his neck. So that may require some adjusting. I definitely don't want to do like something like that just to get it to fit. So we want to leave the head the way it is. And it may need to have the neck a bit longer, so if we need to take this border edge on the head and double click, can do an extrude, Control E, W for the move tool, we can drag that down. And yeah, I don't really see an easy way to do this. I think I would probably should have left the reference image in. We need to delete the history on that head now that I've done an extrude. But yeah. So some final adjustments would be the thickness of the collar, the decrease in this V cut that we have is maybe a bit too low. So I'll maybe grab that and just drag it up. And then we can, you know, we can adjust what we need to adjust around. Probably the collar would come in. So let's see if I can just fudge it together here. So I'm going to grab all those verts. I'm going to come in the front view. And I'm just going to try and scale them all together. Just to get his collar in. Let's try bringing these in a bit as well. These edge loops here. And it looks like I need to take the, because they're getting interpenetrations there, so probably the collar needs to widen back out again, but let's just say, sure. I think his head looks too big now, doesn't it? Goodness gracious. Alright, so I don't really know why I should have left the reference in. Alright, well, I just wanted to show you the process. So there's the process. Any fine tuning that needs to be done can be done. I'm not going to go and get another reference image to bring in because shouldn't have to. Should make sense to you what needs to be done. Yeah, he looks really weird now. Okay, so everything's in. Let's check the outliner one last time. So shirt geo, I'm just checking it's frozen and there's no history on any of this stuff. Head group needs to be frozen because I've moved it and scaled it. And then all the individual geometry in here is all named. So everything's named, nothing has history, everything is frozen. There's no extra crap in here that shouldn't be in here. Everything is done kind of the way you would expect it. I think I ruined it. I hate it now. So any fine tuning needs to be done. We didn't really, I see lots of issues with the head, the shape of the head. I would have spent probably a good maybe an hour or two to just kind of clean up the shape a bit more, push and pull the verts and adjust and maybe delete half and proxy and then delete it and mirror and back and forth till I get it just right. So that's, I mean, getting the structure in is really important, proper structure, but also once you have that structure, there's a lot of work that goes into just tweaking for positions in and out and back and forth and on the normal and you know, edge constraints and face constraints to get everything just so. So again, if I saw this one, and I always like to see them in the low res, so I'd always hit 1 and maybe turn the wireframe on. You know, wireframe looks all right. It's missing, like I said, his pelvis needs some shaping, and the head, while not bad and has a good mesh flow, loops look all right. Could use some tweaking as well, because when I do hit 3 and look at it, it's pretty square and pretty flat, and so there's a bit of work left to be done on that. But it's all together in one file. Imagine his shoes were done and everything was to the right proportion, which it's not. We'd be done.